What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
Not only stuck with me forever, but changed my life too. So at the beginning of 2020, I was cast on a TV show for musicians. And I've been trying to make it in the music industry for over 10 years now, so this was a pretty big deal for me. It was the moment I had been praying and working and wishing for my entire life, pretty much. So they cast me on it, fly me to LA, put me up in a hotel room while we wait for filming to begin. And 8 days into said hotel room, they knock on my door and tell me, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to bring you on this season. Understanding the emotional trauma and devastation, they bring a psychologist into my room to make sure I'm not going to hurt myself, then put me on a flight right back to Nashville. I was uncontrollably sobbing on the plane, and the man next to me turns to me and says, out of nowhere, I know it might not seem like it right now, but my greatest triumphs in life came just after my most devastating heartbreaks, as long as I kept moving forward. I wanted to give up so bad, but I thought about what he said, and instead I joined TikTok. 2 days later, I went viral. I'll never need a TV show because I have all of you.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
In 2012, I dropped my phone out of my pocket at a Baltimore Orioles game in the stadium. The doors closed, everything locked up, and we couldn't get anybody to go look for the phone for us. So finally, we got one of the janitors who was out cleaning, picking up trash to help us out. And we told him we knew exactly where our phone was using the app. If he could, help us out and go get it, we'd greatly appreciate it. So this gentleman took off, walked all the way to the other side of the stadium, came back with my phone, gave us the phone. We had put together like $66 or something to give him. That's all we had on us, and he wouldn't accept it. And instead, he asked that we shake the hand and say, welcome home to any Vietnam War veteran that we see. So every time I go out, if I see somebody that wears a Vietnam War veteran hat, I go out of my way to go up to that person, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and say, welcome home. If you don't know, they weren't welcomed home when they first arrived back in the United States. And it's an unbelievable feeling and look on their face when you do this.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
So quick background. I'm an American from Mexican descent, and my husband is Filipino and Caucasian, and we have 3 beautiful children that were all born with very different features. So when I was signing them into their doctor's appointment one day, I noticed the tech kept looking at me, and then he'd look at them, and then look at me again. And he leans in and goes, hey, I hope you don't take offense, but I was wondering, are your kids multiracial? And I was like, yeah, they are. And he turns a picture of his daughter to me, and she did not look like him at all. She looked like him, but she didn't look like him. So I think he sympathized. So my daughter pops up and says, yeah, we're mutts. And he goes, oh, no. You are no mutt. You are a beautiful hybrid of a human. And your guys' race represents peace, not war. One of the most beautiful, profound things anybody has ever said to me or my children. And I never thought about it that way until he said it.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
So I was having a bad week. I was kind of living a country and western song, and I was having a bit of a little pity party, and talking to my friend and complaining because my car was busted and this, that, and bills and meh, 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 meh. And he just looked me dead in the face. He goes, "So those are all situations, and they can be dealt with. How are you?" I went, "Well, I'm okay." He goes, "You healthy?" I go, "Yeah." "Everything else okay?" "Yeah." "Well, then you're all right?" I went, "Oh, yeah." And since that day, if something goes wrong, things go wrong, I'm like, okay, that's just a situation. I'm okay. And I'm just going to deal with that situation. Probably the biggest favor you ever did me. See ya!
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
Not too long ago, I woke up at 2 a.m. with this weird feeling in the pit of my stomach. So much so that I called my sister, my grandmother, and my father to make sure everybody was okay. My sister answered, and she said she was fine. And then I called my dad and had a really wonderful conversation. He told me how much he loved me and how proud he was of me and that he was fine. I couldn't kick this strange feeling, and I sat and looked out my window for 3 more hours before I could get up and make coffee. That morning around 10 a.m. I got a call. It was my grandmother to say that my father was in bad shape and he was at the hospital and I needed to come down and say goodbye. I had to say goodbye to him that day. But the conversation we had at 2 in the morning I'll never forget. Miss you, Dad.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
I'm in 7th grade, sitting in English class, and we're grading each other's homework. Guy behind me hands my paper back and points to the bottom where it says checked by, and he signed his name. And he says to me, keep that, you're gonna need it one day. I think I was like, okay. Like, I knew he was athletic, but like, I didn't think anything about it. That guy? Mom's mentality, ladies and gents.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
I got it. So I was the most fucking average student of all time. I wouldn't take any advanced classes. I didn't take any AP classes. I took one AP class, and that was AP Music Theory. I wasn't even good at it, dog. I would like study all the time, and I'd still get a C. You know what I'm saying? My dad got sick of it because I would work on my AP music class more than my other classes. He'd come in and he'd say, "Stop doing that shit. Music will never pay the bills." I think about that all the time. Music will never pay the bills. Fast forward now, I graduated high school, I went to college, dropped out after a year and a half, came to downtown LA, and this was the first year that music paid my motherfucking bills. That goes to show your friends and family are not your fan base, at least not at first. Go be your own motherfucking fan.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
I had a professor at the University of Washington that, like, on one of our first lectures, he said, he like sat down and he was like, you know that feeling when someone is telling a story and you're like, oh my gosh, I have the perfect story, or I have a question, or I have something to add to this, and you're just kind of sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to come in with your story. He was like, that moment is the moment that you need to take a deep breath and sit back, make eye contact with the person, and really try and absorb what they're saying. Give them the spotlight, take a step back, and enjoy the conversation. If you're feeling like you have to get a word in, you're taking away from that person's side of the conversation. That's always stuck with me.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
A bird sitting on a branch is never afraid of the branch breaking because the belief is not in the strength of the branch but the strength in her own wings. A teacher told me that, and I will forever remember it, because every situation now I look at it positively, because all it takes is the strength inside of myself to pull myself up out of it, whether it's allowing myself to get help or getting my shit together.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
Never make fun of somebody's laugh or smile, because that's how they express joy. Like, that shit really hit me. Yeah.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
Hi, I came from China by myself through a program called Au Pair. Basically, it's living nanny. So this family double worked me. And of course, I'm not happy. So they told me, if you don't like this job, I'm gonna send you back to China. That's the reason I left China. I want to control my own life. And you told me you're gonna send me back to China. Like, you own me. You own me. And do you know what is next? I quit the job. I went to school, got my master's degree, and I got my citizenship. I'm American right now. I'm living American dream, and I did so many cool jobs. I'm experiencing the life I want to live. I don't want to be survive anymore. I'm living American dreams.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
At 19, I was heavily addicted to drugs and was really making poor decisions in my life. I ended up in jail and thought I was staring at a few years in prison at least. When a man that I highly respected came to visit me, I was having a fucking pity party about my situation. He said, "Bro, you're so full of shit and you don't even see it. The reason why you're in this situation is because you think you're a victim, when in reality, you're responsible for why you're here. You're not where you are in life because of the things that happened to you. You're here because of how you deal with the things that have happened to you and your perspective on life. The victim mentality gets you nowhere, even when you're right, because you give up your power of actually taking responsibility in life. So either take accountability for where you are in this very moment, or play the victim role and end up losing."
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
If you raise your kids, then you get to spoil your grandkids. If you spoil your kids, you'll have to raise your grandkids.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
So when I started my PhD program, I was feeling pretty frustrated. I had just called off a wedding with a guy I'd been with for 7 years, since I was 16, because I had realized that it just wasn't going to work. I was, yes, in a PhD program, but I was living with my parents and feeling pretty insecure about that. And I was watching all my other friends get married, have babies, get advances in their career, and I was frustrated. So I sat down and I talked with my dad about it one night. He said, "Baby, you are a slingshot. You're more ambitious than most people, so you're willing to take the setback if it means that it will propel you towards your goal. So right now you're pulling back on that slingshot, and from where you are, it looks like everyone is racing forward. But one day you're gonna let go and you're gonna go flying." And he was right. So now I try to live my life not being afraid of moving backward. I know eventually I'll get where I'm going.